Imagine you're alone at night and you hear a knock on your door, but when you look, there's no one there. Then the knocking starts again from inside the house. The last night before senior year, I decided to stay up late, just scrolling on my phone. My mom had gone to bed hours ago, and the house was completely silent except for the hum of the fridge down the hall. It was almost 1 a.m. when I heard a faint tapping sound. At first, I thought it was just a branch against my window, but when I looked, there was no wind. The trees outside were still. I ignored it, but the tapping got louder. Not random, rhythmic, like a pattern. I pulled back my curtain just a little, and that's when I saw it. Someone crouching in our backyard, wearing a dark hoodie, facing my window. They weren't moving, but I could tell they were staring right at me. I stumbled back from the window, my hand shaking. I grabbed my phone and texted my mom from upstairs. Someone's outside my window. Before she could respond, a second sound came. From inside, the creak of the back door opening. I froze. We always locked that door. Always. I heard slow, careful footsteps coming down the hall toward my room. My first instinct was to hide in the closet, but then I thought, no, they'd look there first. So I slid under my bed, facing the door. From my hiding spot, I could see the glow of the hallway light spill into my room as the door slowly opened. Black boots stepped inside. Then, the sound of someone breathing, slow and heavy. They didn't move at first, just stood there. Then, in the lowest voice I've ever heard, they said, "Where's Madison?" I bit down on my sleeve to keep from making a sound. They started walking around the room. I could see their boots turn toward my desk, then my dresser. They were checking everything, slowly, methodically. Then they knelt down. Their head dipped low enough that I could see the shadow of their face from under the bed. And that's when I realized this wasn't some random stranger. It was my ex-boyfriend. The one I'd blocked months ago after he started showing up at my job. His eyes scanned under the bed. For a second, I thought he saw me. But before he could move closer, my mom's voice called from downstairs. "Madison? What's going on?" He stood up immediately and bolted toward the back of the house. I stayed frozen until I heard the front door slam. When my mom came up, I told her everything. She called the police, but by the time they arrived, he was gone. The officers took my statement, then told me something that made my skin crawl even worse. They'd found muddy footprints leading up to my mom's bedroom window, too. He hadn't just been in my room. He'd been outside hers first. And taped to my window from the outside was a single Polaroid picture of me taken while I was sleeping. The night before my senior year started, I couldn't sleep. It wasn't nerves, at least not the normal kind. It was something else. The house was too quiet. My mom was working late, and my stepdad was on a fishing trip. It was just me and our old cat, Juno. I was lying in bed, scrolling through my phone, when I heard a noise from outside. Not a branch scraping the siding, not a car going by. This was softer, deliberate, almost like a slow footstep on our back porch. I muted my phone and listened. Step, step. Then silence. I told myself it was just the neighbor's cat again, but Juno's reaction made my stomach twist. She had jumped off the bed and was crouched low, staring toward my bedroom door. Her tail was puffed up. I got up and peeked out the window toward the backyard. Nothing. just shadows. But then I saw it. The back porch light, which had been off, flickered on for half a second and then off again. I locked my bedroom door. My mom always said our neighborhood was safe, but I knew for a fact there had been break-ins nearby recently. A few minutes later, I heard it again, the sound of someone walking, but this time inside the house. Every muscle in my body froze. My first thought was to call my mom, but I realized if someone really was inside, I couldn't make a sound. The footsteps came down the hallway, slow and steady. Then they stopped, right outside my bedroom door. I grabbed my phone and typed out a text to 911, but my hands were shaking so badly it took me forever to get the words right. Before I could hit send, there was a soft tap on my door. Not knocking, tapping. 3 slow taps. I couldn't breathe. My cat had disappeared under the bed. I sat there, frozen, waiting for the sound of the door handle turning, but instead, I heard whispering. A low voice, right outside my door, saying words I couldn't understand. I sent the 911 text. My phone buzzed back almost immediately, asking for my address. I typed it in, and they said help was on the way. The whispering stopped. The footsteps began again, this time retreating toward the living room. I heard the back door creak open, and then slam shut. When the police arrived, they searched the house and didn't find anyone inside, but they did find something on the back porch. A single muddy footprint, far too large to be mine, leading from the yard to the back door. Here's the part one didn't tell the cops. Later that night, after they left, I was trying to calm down when I noticed something on my phone screen. The 911 text conversation was still open, but the last message wasn't from them. It just said, "School starts tomorrow, Mia. You should get some rest." The night before my freshman year of high school, my dad was working the night shift and my mom was at a late church meeting. I was used to being home alone, but that night felt different the second the sun went down. Around 9 p.m., I was in the living room watching TV when I heard the sound of our front gate creaking open. That wasn't normal. It had a heavy latch, and the wind couldn't push it. I muted the TV. A few seconds later, I heard heavy footsteps coming up the driveway. Slow, like whoever it was didn't care if I heard them. I went to the window and pulled the blinds just enough to peek out. What I saw made my stomach drop. A man I'd never seen before was standing halfway up the driveway, looking straight at the house. He wasn't moving, just staring. I quickly stepped back and grabbed my phone, but before I could dial anyone, I heard the front doorknob jiggle. Then, in a calm voice, he said, "I know you're in there, Anthony." My heart stopped. There was no way he could know my name. I hadn't made a sound, hadn't even been visible from the door. I backed away toward the kitchen, thinking I could slip out the back door, but then I heard the door's handle jiggle too. Someone else was back there. I froze in the middle of the hallway, my ears ringing from how fast my heart was pounding. Then came the sound that still makes my skin crawl when I think about it. Knocking. From inside the house. Not on a door. On the wall. 3 slow knocks. Right from the other side of the hallway. I bolted for my bedroom and locked the door. The knocking stopped, replaced by soft footsteps just outside. Then a whisper, "You forgot to lock the window, Anthony." I spun around. My bedroom window was open, just an inch, and a pale hand slowly slid inside to grip the frame. I didn't think. I slammed it down as hard as I could and ran to my closet. I climbed inside, shut the door, and called 911. The dispatcher told me to stay quiet, that officers were already close. The next 5 minutes felt like an hour. I could hear footsteps moving through the house, a low male laugh echoing in the hallway, and then silence. When the police arrived, the house was empty. They checked every door and window. The front gate latch, broken clean off. And on my bedroom windowsill, they found something that made the officers exchange a look. A folded note, written in messy, childlike handwriting. It said, "We'll see you after school. If you made it this far, maybe you belong here." Subscribe to Whisper Cage. More true horror is waiting.